Welcome everybody to the South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority public meeting. We are now being live streamed, so hopefully everybody can now hear me. Thank you. Just testing everybody's paying attention, so Chris wins that challenge. We have apologies from anyone? Just from Ros, I believe. So Councillor Jones in Ros's stead. In which case we'll move on to item number 2, which is just announcements from me, the chair. So just to welcome everybody back, I suppose, after a summer break. I hope everybody's had a good holiday. I just wanted to take this moment to sort of reflect on a couple of campaigns that we've launched since our last meeting. As you'll know, I'm in the middle right now of a campaign on buses, trying to get the government to understand the significant challenges that we face in South Yorkshire, and the lack of funding that has come to South Yorkshire through particularly bus service improvement plan funding and the problems that is now causing for our bus network in the region. So after our last meeting, I wrote to the Transport Secretary Mark Harper setting out the specific challenges that we face as a region, and as I said, those are the direct result of a series of government decisions around bus funding. That's why we're in the place that we are right now. I haven't yet received a response, although I understand that that they are at the moment considering our request for a meeting, which is frankly good of them. In the meantime, though, through the MCA, I am leading a campaign going out and about across South Yorkshire. I've already spoken to, I think, 6 public meetings, and I've got a plan to speak at 20 more. So for those people watching online who are keen for more meetings, there is a public meeting coming your way. I'm in Great Houghton tonight, and I'd love to see as many people there as possible. I've heard firsthand from literally hundreds of people now about the damage that bus cuts are causing to our region, holding back public services, stopping people from seeing friends and family, and most of all, holding back our economy. And when we are in a cost of living crisis, I do think it is incumbent on the government to work with us to be able to provide effective public transport for our region, to allow people to get to work, in order for us to grow our economy, to give people the opportunity to earn more money, because the cost of living crisis is still very real for all too many people across our region. Secondly, I wanted to acknowledge the work that we're doing in close coordination, clearly, with Mayor Ros Jones and our MPs in Doncaster, who've been taking forward that campaign, trying to get investment for Doncaster Royal Infirmary. DRI has been classified by the NHS itself as facing almost certain and extremely significant structural risks. And those risks are equivalent to or greater than those we've heard about over the last few weeks relating to issues around RAC, reinforced aerated concrete, as a building material affecting schools in our region, I know, but also there are problems in other public sector buildings too, not least, clearly, Doncaster Royal Infirmary. Against those national challenges, I'm proud of the work that we're doing to move our economy forward, but there's no doubt that there are challenges facing our region. So I'm grateful for all the support I've had on both of those campaigns, working clearly with Doncaster on the DRI issue, and then more broadly on buses. So grateful to everybody that's come to the meetings, the support we've had more broadly, and we'll carry on working on those 2 campaigns to get the investment and the support and the recognition from government that we deserve. So without further ado, on to item number 3, urgent items. I'm not aware of any urgent items. Item number 4, items to be considered in the absence of public and press. We have a restricted appendix to item 20, which is institutional investment. This is our final item, and when we reach that point in the agenda, the webcast will be stopped and members of the public will be asked to leave. So I hope that's okay. Agenda item number 5, voting rights for non-constituent members. Our monitoring officer is advising none. Item number 6, declarations of interest by individual members in relation to any item of business on the agenda other than the standing declarations of interest. Are there any others that we should be aware of? No? Okay, thank you very much. Item number 7, reports from and questions by members, none received in advance of the meeting, but are there any that people want to ask? No. Item number 8 then, receipts of petitions. We have received a petition in advance of the meeting, and the petitioners are in attendance today. Thank you very much for coming. Would you like to just introduce yourself and then read out what you'd like to say? If you just have to, I think somebody's probably told you, you just have to press the button in front of you in order for everybody to be able to hear you, and then we'll listen intently. Yeah, just press the button in front of you. It should turn red. There you go.
Right.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Linda Walker and we're representatives of Chancellor Wood, Sheffield. We got a petition up because we've got the worst bus route in Sheffield, I'm sure, when it turns up. So we decided amongst us, we are a lot of elderly people, a lot of disabled, young and old. There's people who go to school, work, so forth, so forth. But like yesterday, went out for the 10 o'clock bus, didn't turn up. So we had to find alternative transport. Came back an hour later, still no bus. We didn't get a bus yesterday. We cancelled everyone. So for 4 hours I was stuck down wood seats trying to get home. This bus has been like this since TM took it over. I mean, we've been told that you've said that it's running exactly the same as Stagecoach. It's not. The bus run marvellous when it was on Stagecoach. Never missed. Always came, no matter if you were a few minutes late due to traffic. He always came. You could guarantee it. But now you go out for it, you know for a fact it's never going to come. And we found it disgusting when we are entitled to a bus. We pay our taxes, we pay our council tax, and we are entitled to a bus. There's a very simple and easy way of doing this. The 76, we've got 5 buses going to Low Edges at some point, going either Chesterfield Road or up where we live. One bus, 76, which goes on to Low Edges, which comes up Bocking Lane. You know where I'm talking?
Do, of course do.
And then we just only 2 minutes round the corner and before it turns off. Why can't that 76 come on our road, pick us up and go back and on its route? I find it amazing that I, a pensioner of my age, can think of this, but no, the council can't. I find it disgusting, actually.
May I just say,
Do you want to just take a seat so we can, because then you can use the microphone. If you come and sit next to
I
Linda.
can't hear what you're saying. This is, we can also use the 25A Bradley one.
Yeah.
We don't need an extra driver, an extra bus, or extra diesel to run this, and it come down 1 an hour. That's all we're asking. The first, which is running on the Wednesday, it doesn't. They didn't pick us up before. If they were late, they went straight to Low Edges and left us, and went and left us.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very good when the 76 first bus was running.
Yeah.
That's all I wish to say.
Thank you.
But following on, but if we got the bus to come up on our route, why do we only have to have 5 buses a day? I mean, we've restricted, make our appointments, doctor's appointments, hospital appointments, going shopping, we've restricted to that time limit between 10 and 2. And it's wrong. I want to go out, I want to go and socialise with people. So why can't the council do that? And why do we have to keep bringing pieces of paper here and discussing it?
Okay. Thank you firstly, thank you very much for coming to talk to us, and thank you for the work that you're doing on the petition on behalf of the community. Let me respond more broadly about the challenges that we face, and then I'll talk specifically about the challenge that you're facing in Chancellor Wood. So I have no doubt, and I think we have talked about this at these meetings and in private and at the Enhanced Partnership meeting, about the challenges we face with the bus network in South Yorkshire, and those challenges have been getting harder and harder. The network has been getting worse over the last, in my view, over the last 40 years since the privatisation of the buses. And it's got particularly bad and particularly hard since COVID. So there are fewer people using the bus now, and therefore less money in the system, and we were relying on government money in order to be able to keep buses on the road. Because we don't get that government money, the same money that other places get, we're now finding it particularly hard to run some of those services that I know you would like us to run, and frankly I think people around this table would love to be able to run. We've got the leader of Sheffield
Yes,
Council.
can I just say though, you're running a bus anyway.
Yeah, like I said, I'll come on to the specific issue and talk to you about that. So look, we are doing everything we can with the resources that we have to try and keep as many buses on the road. Now, I'm pleased, frankly, that we're still able to run those services up there, because quite honestly, there is parts of South Yorkshire, there are people here representing Barnsley, Rotherham and Doncaster who don't have some of those services that places like Sheffield do get, and there are definitely challenges everywhere. But I'm pleased that we've been able to keep services on the road in Chancellor Wood, and I take your point about how those are running. We need to do everything we can to try and improve the bus network in South Yorkshire, but that is going to rely on us getting more money from government, which is why, as I just said a moment ago, I'm now running a campaign across the region in order to try to get the government to understand what the challenge looks like for you, for us, as a region in order to get more money into the system in order to be able to improve things. On the specific issue that you face, Chancellor, and particularly with TM Travel, so I think you said at the beginning that you've heard that I'm kind of saying that
It's what we've been told by Tom.
Well, let me correct that right now. TM Travel are not running a good enough service, so that service is not good enough. We're now monitoring that service very closely as a result of the work that you've done and trying to understand what's going on there. Now, TM Travel have told us that the reason why they're facing those problems is because of a shortage of drivers. That was one of the things that they cited as a problem. Now, as a board, what we decided to do a few months ago was put £385,000 from skills budgets into training drivers so that we could put more drivers into the system in order to resolve some of those problems. Now, TM are now telling us that that service is better. I don't necessarily believe that because people like you are telling me that that's not the case. So we're monitoring that really regularly and trying to work out what's going on there, and we're putting in place more like financial penalties, so when they don't run those services we do fine them and take that money back. I know that doesn't make your life any better, but we are trying to do everything we can to get them to change how they operate and deliver a better service to you. After this meeting, if you would like, I'm happy for us to be in contact with you directly about how we might change some of the route, if we can, in order to improve the network for your community up there so that we can actually make things better directly, even if TM Travel aren't running the perfect service that we would like. We'll see what we can do about changing the route in the way that you've suggested to see if we can make improvements in that way. So thank you very much for the petition. It has made a difference. We will absolutely talk to you after the meeting about changing that route. And also, like I say, we will be holding TM Travel to account and more broadly doing everything we can to try and fix the bus network in South Yorkshire, and particularly for people who rely on it as you do. Is that okay?
Yep, glad to be.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, on to item number 9, which is public questions. I don't think we've received any public questions in advance of the meeting, so no public questions. Item number 10, going through minutes of the meeting held on the 31st of July 23 when we last met. Are members content that the minutes are an accurate record of that meeting? Any challenges or changes that anybody would like? No? Okay, thank you very much. Item number 11, new governance model progress report, please, from Steve Davenport. This report provides an update to members on progress towards embedding new MCA governance and arrangements, which were agreed by the board in June 23.
Thank you, Chair. As the Chair just said, this paper sets out the summary of the changes that we've made to the governance model since June, the June meeting where this board approved those changes. The report highlights changes to business representation and notes that the LEP has held its last meeting in July. I think we'd like to put on record our thanks to all the members of the LEP Board who've done sterling work over the years that LEP's been in place. And there's a paper, I think it's the next paper on this agenda, that sets out the update in terms of the Business Advisory Board recruitment process. So one of the replacement boards for the LEP, if you like. So the paper then sets out the proposed portfolio leads and the new meeting schedules, which hopefully members have agreed or will agree. And finally, the paper updates on progress being made in strengthening the overview and scrutiny function of the MCA, having particular regard to the link between sort of further devolution asks and the need to have effective scrutiny arrangements, and the government's requirement for scrutiny as they're going to set out in their new scrutiny protocol that will apply to bodies like ours that have got devolved functions. So really just open the paper up for any questions or any comments. Otherwise, if members could approve the proposed way forward of the portfolio leads.
Any comments or questions? On to item number 12, appointment to the South Yorkshire Business Advisory Board, the BAB, and that's from Andy Gates. Andy, I'm just going to have a quick conversation with our guest, but if you want to carry on.
Thanks, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. The paper in front of you sets out the process you all approved in June to establish a Business Advisory Board and go out to recruit to it. Just worth saying up front, this paper seeks MCA board approval for the first 6 members of the Business Advisory Board. Those are those we are drawing from our business representative organisations and organisations sort of engaged with stakeholders and businesses across the region. They are set out in section 2.1, so that's Louisa Harrison Walker representing the 3 South Yorkshire chambers of Barnsley and Rotherham, Doncaster and Sheffield. Rachel Abbott, who cuts across the Cutlers South Yorkshire International Trade Forum, the Manufacturers Forum and Made in Sheffield. Dawn Huntrod representing Make UK. Paula Gouldthorpe representing the FSB. Angela Folks in her capacity as co-chair of the newly titled South Yorkshire Skills Advisory Board. You might know it as the Regional Skills Advisory Board, or not at all. And then Liz Blackshaw, who will be representing the Northern Trade Union Congress. So they're the first 6 members we wanted to put in front of this board for approval. It's also just worth adding, as you'll all be aware, we've said the membership of the board will be made up of 12 members. We are just finalising the recruitment process, so we went out to advert over the summer. That concluded a month ago. We had 35 applicants from the business community across South Yorkshire. That's taking some time to obviously shortlist, interview and go through the process. So that is in underway, and we'll come back to this board to formalise the final members that represent businesses across South Yorkshire, different composition of businesses, different sector represented and different challenges and opportunities they face. So yes, the board are asked to approve those 6 members for the Business Advisory Board, and note that we're just completing the recruitment process for the remaining board members.
Thanks, Andy. It's probably worth me just saying I'm really pleased with this piece of work, not least because I'm conscious that we took a decision slightly earlier, I think, than other places to replace our LEP. And therefore, I think we're kind of doing something which is potentially, I think, leading nationally, because we put ourselves in a position by taking that decision to do this sooner than other places. And it feels to me, I've seen some of the applicants. I've been kept informed clearly about kind of who's involved, and I'm really confident that we're going to get a really great group of representatives. That, you know, colleagues will know that I was working for the LEP at the beginning of its life, and I think it's fair to say it's gone through a journey, hasn't it? That sort of business type board, where I think at one point it represented a certain type of business. I think the people that I've seen that are applying in the type of business advisory board we're hoping to have in place will absolutely represent the diversity and the strengths of South Yorkshire's economy right across the region in a very different and I think effective way. So I'm really excited about the work, and I think it's been a really great piece of work done by officers. So thank you for that. Any other comments or questions before we move on? No? All right, fab. In which case, the board's asked to approve and appoint the appointment of members to the South Yorkshire Business Advisory Board as set out in section 2 of this report. Notes that the Trades Union Congress will also be represented on the Business Advisory Board, and note that the MCA Board will agree recommendations to appoint the final members at our next meeting in November. All okay? Great, thank you very much. On to item number 13, please. Local Visitor Economy Partnership update from Claire.
Thanks, Oliver. So in July 2023, the South Yorkshire Local Visitor Economy Partnership, LVEP, achieved accreditation from Visit England. The LVEP is a South Yorkshire-wide partnership with each of the local authorities and the MCA, and is focused on growing the visitor economy through, amongst other things, the development of a destination management plan. The goals of the LVEP include the development of a strong and consistent relationship with Visit England and with government, to increase income generation, and to ensure we've got strategic alignment between our local priorities and government priorities. So LVEPs are being established across Yorkshire in each of the sub-region areas to continue, but each of the sub-regions will continue to work together through the Yorkshire Tourism Initiative to promote tourism into the Yorkshire region. So having now achieved accreditation, we've got some work ahead of us. So we need to put in place a partnership agreement by the end of October this year. We need to complete a destination management plan, put in place a 1-year growth plan and a staffing structure by December this year. So work's been commissioned on each of those areas. So we're on track to do that, but we're mindful that the board won't meet again before the October deadline. So what we are asking is that the board agree that the partnership agreement be submitted by the 31st of October, following consultation with the lead leader and lead chief executive for the culture portfolio, and that this work of the LVEP more widely be picked up in that portfolio moving forwards. A key part of the work that needs to now be undertaken is to put in place a governance structure. Again, we'd like to work with Tom and Sarah to develop proposals for that for submission to the board at a future meeting.
Fab. Thank you. Comments or questions for Claire?
Thank you. Well, thank you to the work that's gone on to prepare this. I think the next steps full agreement from me, and I think this is a really exciting opportunity to really grow the visitor economy in our region across all 4 of our areas. So no, I think this is exciting, and yeah, look forward to taking this work forward.
Thank you. I think that's absolutely right. When you look at the work that's gone on, for instance, like Barnsley Town Centre, I was talking to a colleague, Nick Fletcher, the other day about Doncaster Wildlife Park, some of the accolades Sheffield's recently received, and all the work going on in Rotherham Town Centre, and not least actually also the work going on at Wentworth Woodhouse, which is great too. I think we have so much to shout about, and I think this is going to give us the opportunity to do just that. So, you know, I realise we haven't always liked shouting about ourselves in South Yorkshire, so hopefully this is a turning of the tide. Okay, so the MCA board is asked to agree the next steps to develop the South Yorkshire Local Visitor Economy Partnership, which I believe we have now done, so thank you very much, everybody. On to item number 14, please, the South Yorkshire Music Hub, which I believe Claire is going to sing, because it's the Music Hub, so that's great.
You're going to do your dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll let you introduce the paper. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. So this paper sets out a request to the board for approval to make an application to the Arts Council to establish a South Yorkshire Music Hub, bringing together the 4 existing hubs in a strategic partnership to support music education across the region while maintaining delivery in places. So this isn't a pull it up, this is to put in place an umbrella organisation to receive funding from the Arts Council. So this request follows the publication last year of DFE's National Plan, which asked to consolidate the number of music hubs. So at the moment they're delivered, I think there are 117 partnerships, hubs. They want to reduce that number and do it on a more regional basis. So the music hubs, as we all know, provide music education for 5 to 18-year-olds, opportunities to learn an instrument. They put together choirs and orchestras, training and development for staff and teachers. And I think that we all recognise the really strong work that they've done in the past. So the Arts Council have indicated that they would like us to put in place, as I say, a South Yorkshire lead hub. And we've been working as the MCA together with each of your music hubs to explore the opportunity to support their work. So some initial objectives have been put in place and they're outlined in the paper. And we want to make sure that we're in the right position to be able to access opportunities to get larger scale projects, put together pilots, and we won't be in that position if we don't align with what the Arts Council have asked. So at this stage we're not anticipating that there's going to be any financial requirement onto the MCA, although there will be an officer requirement obviously to work on the development. So if this is agreed and we're successful in being awarded a South Yorkshire-wide hub, appropriate governance will be put in place, and similar to with the LEP, what we would like to do is work with Tom as the lead portfolio member and Sarah as lead chief executive to ensure that we can bring forward a recommendation that the MCA can support. So as I say, we're requesting approval to make an application to the Arts Council for a South Yorkshire-wide music hub lead organisation.
Well, thank you. Comments or questions? Councillor Houghton and others will know my abiding love for the world-class Barnsley Youth Choir, and I hope that this gives us the opportunity to extend some of that work. And I haven't given up hope yet, actually, of convincing Matt to try and extend the Barnsley Youth Choir South Yorkshire-wide, just because I think if we could offer that kind of opportunity, to everybody across South Yorkshire, I think South Yorkshire would be a better place for it because of the work that Matt's done in Barnsley through that choir has just been, I think, absolutely game-changing. So, you know, music can inspire and change people's lives, can't it? So hopefully we can do some more of that work across the region as a result of this piece of work. So the paper is seeking approval to take forward an application to the Arts Council for a South Yorkshire Music Hub to bring together our existing hubs into a strategic collaborative partnership to enhance music education delivery across the region. The MCA board are therefore asked to support taking forward a South Yorkshire Music Hub's proposal with the MCA as accountable body. Note the timeline is set out in the report. Note the intention for this work to be owned through the work of the Creative Culture and Digital Portfolio, so ably led by Tom Hunt. So are we all agreed? Everyone happy? Fab, thank you. On to agenda item number 15, please, the Local Nature Recovery Strategy. Again, Claire, thank you.
Thank you. So in June, the Mayor was appointed as responsible authority to produce a local nature recovery strategy for South Yorkshire, and Simca will lead, prepare, publish, review and republish a South Yorkshire local nature recovery strategy. So the local nature recovery strategies must identify locations to create or improve habitats to provide the greatest benefit to nature in partnership with our communities. So the formal stakeholders in the preparation of the strategy are the 4 local authorities alongside the Peak District National Park Authority and Natural England. DEFRA has asked that each of the strategies be published by March 2025, and funding has been committed to meet the burdens that this work will place onto the MCA. So we've received £241,000 to support this work. We've not yet received any clarity from government about future funding because this work will need to be refreshed, as you would imagine, but we'll continue in conversations with DEFRA about that as the work develops. So to support this work, we want to put in place a governance structure. So firstly, obviously, most importantly, this board setting the direction of the work and giving input and approval at key milestones. There will then be a steering group, and each supporting authority will be represented there in order to provide oversight and executive decision making as the strategy is developed. An advisory panel that gives a diverse set of organisations and input into this. So Wildlife Trust, DEFRA themselves, farming sector, fire service, landowners and the community. And the panel will provide some recommendations at the outset, although we will keep it under review as and when the panel comment. And then there'll be a number of working groups that sit underneath this that actually drive that work and ensure that we deliver the strategy on time. Planning officers have been and will continue to be included in the discussions and the work to ensure strategic alignment with our broader ambitions for South Yorkshire. And the board is asked to note the development and agree the governance proposal and consider any additional proposals that they might like us to consider.
Bro, thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Nature recovery? No? Okay, in which case the MCA board is asked to note the policy development on the local nature recovery strategy, agree the local nature recovery governance proposal, and consider any additional governance procedures each local authority will require for timely local nature recovery strategy development. Happy? Thank you. On to programme approvals, please. I'm afraid Gareth is not at work today, so we've got Mike Thomas presenting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm here today to present the customary programme approvals report. There are 3 broad categories of items in this report for the board's approval today. The first category is the progression of 7 investment schemes and their business cases. The second category is the acceptance of 2 grants, and the third category is for a funding bid to be submitted. For the first category, again, there are 7 schemes covering a broad range of portfolios, including housing, infrastructure and transport. And it's also worth noting that the various schemes cover all parts of the region and all 4 local authorities. For the second category, we're seeking the board's approval for acceptance of 2 grants. One is for local electric vehicle infrastructure grant, and the second is for local nature recovery strategy, which Claire's just touched on in a previous report. And then finally, we have a funding bid to the Department for Culture, Media and Sport for the Creative Growth Programme. So without going into further detail, I'll pause there, Chair, to take any questions that the board may have.
Bro, thank you, Mike. Any comments or questions for Mike? No? There we go, got off easy. All right, brilliant. Thank you very much. In which case, and here we go, my customary reading of the list. This report recommends that the board approves Brownfield Housing Programme and Infrastructure Schemes. A, progression of Cannon Brewery B46 from outline business case to full business case, and in principle approval to award £11.7 million grant to Capital and Centrica 505 limited subject to the conditions set out in the assurance summary. A. B, progression of Plot 2 Olive Lane Waverley from business justification case to full approval and award of £0.89 million to Forge New Homes LLP subject to the conditions set out in assurance summary. B. C, progression of Gigabit Broadband Voucher Scheme local top-up from business justification case BJC to full approval and award of £0.51 million to South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority subject to the conditions set out in assurance summary. C, gain share programme approvals. D, progression of housing retrofit from full business case to full approval and award of £2.7 million grant to City of Doncaster Council subject to the conditions set out in assurance summary. D, progression of business growth advisors service 2325 from full business case to full approval an investment of up to £1.6 million by South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority, subject to the conditions set out in Assurance Summary E. Gain share programme delegations, delegate authority to the head of paid service in consultation with me, in my position as the portfolio lead for the economy and portfolio lead for health, for consideration of the following: the progression of scheme D0063 to post outline business case in principle approval for up to £36 million capital and £27 million revenue grant support, and progression to a two-stage full business case process. Transport programme scheme, progression of the Magna Tinsley phase 1 from full business case to full approval, and award of £0.76 million grant to Sheffield City Council, subject to the conditions set out in the Assurance Summary F grant acceptance. Acceptance of £0.7 million Local Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Capability Fund grant from the Department for Transport and Onward Award. Acceptance of £0.24 million Local Nature Reserve Strategy grant from the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. Delegate authorities to the head of paid service in consultation with the Section 73 and monitoring officer to enter into legal agreements for the schemes above. Funding application, endorse submission of a full application for the Creative Growth Programme to the Department of Culture, Media and Sport. Everybody happy, I hope. Yes, wonderful. Thank you very much. In which case, on to item number 17, minutes of the LEP Board meeting held on the 13th of July 2023. From Mark, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. These minutes are quite simply those of the final LEP Board, which was held on the 13th of July, presented to Board today. Thank you.
That was brief. Thank you very much. Okay, members who were in attendance at the final meeting of the LEP are asked to agree that these minutes are a true and accurate record of the meeting. Agreed. Thank you very much. Item number 18, Thematic Board action logs, please, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, with the coming to the close of the LEP, also brought to a close the thematic boards, and this paper simply sets out the action logs and actions from those final thematic boards. Thank you.
Thank you. So the MCA Board is asked to note the updates recorded to the Thematic Board action logs. Item number 19, Delegated Authority report, please, again.
Thank you, Oliver. Once again, a very brief summation of the report. It contains all of the delegated decisions taken between July 20 and August 23, and is the normal and usual report presented to Board. Thank you.
In which case, if the MCA Board notes the decisions and delegations made, which I hope we do, that concludes the public part of the meeting, in which case can we please pause the stream. Thank you.